Continuing with the chapter Matter in our Surroundings, we had seen the characteristics of particles of matter in our previous class. Out of that, we have seen characteristics. The first one is particles of matter are very tiny. Through an activity, we have seen how the dilution takes place and the color gets transferred into the last container. Then we also saw particles of matter have space in between them, but the activity 1.1 of the textbook, as we discussed earlier, is not proper. Then particles of matter are continuously moving. This also we have seen with the help of an activity. If you remember, we had taken water in a glass and then we put a drop of ink on the surface and how it gets diffused inside the water. So what is diffusion, children? Diffusion is the intermixing of one substance into another substance. We saw about diffusion. Diffusion means intermixing of one substance into another. So here one more thing I want to add, that diffusion, it also depends upon temperature. The higher the temperature, the faster will be the diffusion. So in order to understand this, let us see one more activity wherein we will take 2 glasses of water, in which in one glass we will have cold water, in another hot water, and we will do the same activity wherein we had put a drop of ink on the surface of water and how it diffuses. So here we will have water at 2 different temperatures. Let us see how the diffusion, that is the intermixing, is affected by the temperature. So let us watch this video. Hello dear students. In the previous video, we had seen an activity that particles of matter are continuously in motion. So we had taken a glass of water and we had put a drop of ink on the surface of the water, and we saw that slowly the ink spreads throughout the water and the water becomes colored. Now in this activity, we will compare the effect of temperature on the process of diffusion. We know that diffusion is the intermixing of one substance into another. The ink gets diffused into the water. Now in this activity, we will see how the temperature is affecting the process of diffusion. Here on the right hand side, I have hot water, and in the other glass, which is on the left hand side, there is simple plain water. The temperature of this glass of water is more than that of that glass. Now I will repeat that same activity of ink which we had seen in the previous video. I will put a drop of ink first on the cold water. So I will release slowly. One drop of ink I will put on the surface, and we see that it has started mixing. Same way, I will put it into the hot water. Let us see the difference, children. I am not stirring any of the liquid in both the glasses, but here in this glass you can see that the mixing is taking place faster as compared to that glass. That glass, the mixing process is taking place slowly. The water is cold in that glass, and in this glass the water is hot. So you can see how fast the ink is mixing in the hot water. So what is the conclusion of this activity, dear children? That with the increase in the temperature, the diffusion process increases. As the temperature is more, the diffusion process will take place faster. Thank you. So children, you saw this video and you came to know that in hot water the diffusion took place faster. Now what is the reason why should diffusion be faster in the hot water? So the reason is this mixing is taking place due to the kinetic energy of the molecules. Now what do you mean by kinetic energy? So kinetic energy is that energy of substance which is associated with the motion of the particles. So particles are continuously moving because they are having kinetic energy. Now with the increase in the temperature, means we are providing some energy to the molecules by increasing the temperature, so their kinetic energy will increase. And as the kinetic energy will increase, their speed will become fast, and so the diffusion will take place faster. The intermixing will be at a faster rate with the increase in the temperature. There are many such examples which we can see in our day-to-day life. For example, if we burn an incense stick and keep it in one corner of the room, we can get the fragrance even in the other room or in the other corner of the room. So what is the reason for that? If the incense stick, that is agarbatti, if it is not lit and kept, then its smell will not get easily into the other room. But if it is lit and kept, then it has started burning, children. So on burning, its vapor will travel faster into the other corner of the room. Why? Because the kinetic energy increases with temperature, and so diffusion will become faster. Same way, what food is being cooked in the kitchen, you can come to know into your study room. Yes, your mother might be cooking something special. You come to know, yes, mummy is cooking this dish. So how do you come to know? Because when the food is hot, the vapors have a higher kinetic energy, and so they travel very fast. Or sometimes it even happens that in the house, next door house, something special is being cooked, and you can easily identify, yes, this is going on, or this is being cooked. Why? Because when the food is hot, it is having more kinetic energy, and that due to the higher kinetic energy, the vapors travel faster. Okay, so as the temperature increases, diffusion, it becomes faster. We have seen already with the help of an activity. Now, the last characteristics of particles of matter, that is particles of matter attract each other. So there is a force of attraction between the particles of matter. This force of attraction will be less or more. It will depend on which type of substance it is. For example, the particles of matter in air, the gas molecules, they are far apart from each other. They don't attract them together much, and that is why, see, I can easily move my hand through the air. Why? Because the force of attraction between the particles of the air is very less, so or negligible. So I can easily move my hand. The force of attraction is not much. Now if we see the case of liquids, here I have two glasses. One is an empty glass, one is a glass containing water. Now if I allow the glass water to flow, you can see I can easily move my finger through the stream of water. I can cut the stream of water. Why? Because the force of attraction between the particles or between the molecules of water is there. That is why it is flowing in a continuous stream. But then I can cut the stream of water because the force of attraction is still not that higher. But if it is a solid substance like this marker, it is a solid substance, so I can't move my hand inside this pen. Why? Because here in solids the interparticle force of attraction is very strong, so I can't move my hand. So the force of attraction between the particles of solid is the highest. Then among solids also, suppose like I have a piece of chalk, I can easily break this piece of chalk. Why? Because the force of attraction between the chalk molecules or chalk particle is weak, so I can break it easily. But this iron nail, if I take, then I can't bend it easily with the help, neither I can break it. So this iron nail is having higher force of attraction. The particles, they are bounded with higher more energy, and that is why I can't break it. So in this way, the particles of matter, they attract each other, but this force of attraction between the particles will differ from one state to the other state. Even for solids also, depending on the nature of the solid, the force of attraction will be different. Now the force of attraction, there are two types. One is cohesive force and one is adhesive force. So cohesive force is that force which is keeping the molecules of one substance bounded to each other. Like for example, water. So I can pour water, and water goes in a continuous flow from one glass to another because the molecules of water, they attract each other. So this is the cohesive force of attraction, because of which the molecules of water are binded to each other. This is cohesive force. But now what is adhesive force then? This is a glass of water. Now I have emptied the water, but still you can feel that from inside the glass is wet. I have emptied it, I have turned it upside down, no water is coming out, but still from inside the glass is wet. So why is this glass wet? Because some molecules of water, they are sticking onto the surface, inner surface of the glass, and the force of attraction by which the water is still sticking on the inner walls of the glass is known as adhesive force. So there are two types of forces, cohesive force and adhesive force. Cohesive force is that force of attraction by which the molecules of the same type attract each other, and because of which a substance will exist. And adhesive force is one substance sticking on the surface of another substance. Adhesive comes from the force, from the word adhesion. And adhesive also we use for any sticking material like glue, gum. They are all adhesives because they are making one surface to stick onto the other surface. That is adhesive. Okay. So this is all about particles of matter attract each other. Now we are moving on to the next topic now, that is states of matter. So children, there are three states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. And we are going to see some properties of solids, liquids and gases. We are going to compare these properties on the basis of the states of matter. So you are very much familiar with these three states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. Apart from these basic three states of matter, there are other states of matter also. We have not to go much in detail into them, but we will just have a brief discussion of that after we finish these three states. Okay, so we are going to study some properties of the states of matter with respect to the solid state, liquid state and the gas state. So one such property is mass. So we know that solid has a fixed mass. Liquids also have a fixed mass. Means a fixed quantity of liquid will have a fixed mass. Even a fixed quantity of a gas will also have a fixed mass. Mass can't change. Even of a gas also fixed quantity will have a fixed mass. Then the next one is volume. So solids have a fixed volume. The volume of solids can't change. And volume of liquid is also fixed. So liquids also have a fixed volume. We'll shortly see one activity which will show that liquid have a fixed volume. And then gas also, their volume is not fixed. So volume of a gas is not fixed. Gas can expand as much as it can. Means whatever container the gas is getting, it will occupy that entire container. A gas which is occupying a small container, if it is opened into a room, it will occupy the entire volume of the room. So gas does not have any definite volume. It occupies the entire container in which it is filled. So the volume of the container is the volume of the gas. So what we can conclude is volume of container is volume of gas. Then the next one is shape. So shape of a solid is fixed. Solids have a fixed shape. You can't change the shape of a solid. But liquids, they don't have any particular shape and take the shape of the container. This this also we'll see, all these things we'll see with the series of activities after this explanation. I am going to put some videos where you will understand that liquids have a fixed volume, and then gases, liquids, they do not have a fixed shape but they take the shape of a container. Gases also, they don't have any fixed shape. So gases will not take any shape actually. Okay. And then the next one is compressibility. For compressibility also we will see one activity wherein we will see that solids, they are non-compressible. Liquids are also non-compressible, children. In your textbook, it is written that liquids are negligibly compressible, means they can be compressed a little bit, but it is not true. Liquids are also non-compressible and gases are highly compressible. You can compress gas much, and that is how we get our LPG cylinders, we get our CNG cylinders on the same concept, on the same understanding that gases can be highly compressed. You know, children, that one LPG cylinder is used for a month or more in your houses. So how is it possible that such a small container contains so much of gas which can which can cook food till 1 month or so? So in that LPG cylinder, the gas is highly compressed and it is filled in that. Sometimes when you shake the LPG cylinder, you can hear the sound of liquid. So gases on compressing, they can even get changed into the liquid state. So from this we can say that gases are highly compressible. So for all understanding all these things, let us see some series of activities where you will understand that the volume of liquids, it is fixed, volume of solid is also fixed, and then about the shape, how the shape, whether it changes or it doesn't change, of solid, liquid and gases. And then the compressibility also can be studied comparatively with the help of activities. So let us now see this series of activities for all the three. And then after this we will continue with more properties of matter in the next video. Thank you. Continuing the concept of the shape of solids and liquid. Let us say, children, let us prove it, how the liquids we talked just now, that they change their shape. Liquids do not have a fixed shape but they take the shape of the container. Here we have a glass of colored water, and if you can see, children, the colored water has taken the shape of the glass. Now if I pour this colored water into a bowl, the colored water now seems to take the shape of the bowl. So from this we can conclude that liquids do not have any fixed shape. It takes the shape of the container. When it was in the glass, it was looking like the shape of the glass. When it is in a bowl, it has taken the shape of the bowl. Also the volume of the liquid is fixed. We have seen just now that volume of the liquid is fixed in the theory portion. Now whatever volume was there earlier when the liquid was there in the glass, the volume did not change. You can see, children, the liquid was still this mark when it was in the glass. When I poured it into the bowl, the volume was the same. Again I poured it into the glass, it has covered this mark which was there in the glass. Means the volume of the liquid does not change with the change in the container. It will remain the same. Shape of the liquid is not fixed, it will take the shape of the container. Now let us see for solids. Children, solids have a fixed shape and also they have a fixed volume. Let us take this measuring cylinder. It is a solid measuring cylinder. I will put it into this bowl. After putting it into this bowl, still it is of the same shape. Its shape is not changing. I'll put it into this glass. Again, its shape has not changed. It remains the same. It means that solids do not change their shape. But now this concept, if we apply to this bowl of sugar, when I pour it into this glass, it seems that this sugar has taken the shape of the glass. Now from the glass, again I pour it into the bowl. It seems that the sugar has taken the shape of the bowl. But sugar is solid. Then how will this happen that the sugar changes its shape? But see children, if we see minutely, there are some sugar crystals lying on the floor. Now these sugar crystals, if we see, the shape is not changing. So as these particles are very tiny, just like the particles of sand. So particles of sand also, if you pour sand into the glass, it will take the shape of the glass, or in the bowl, it will take the shape of the bowl. But as a particle, if we will see, then these particles, they are not changing any shape. So we can say that solids do not change their shape. Another example is an example of sponge. Sponge is also a solid. Sponge is a solid, and we can compress the sponge. Just now we discussed that solids do not change their shape. Now I can change the shape of the sponge. I can roll it. I can again roll it. So its shape is changing. Then how come? Is sponge then not a solid? Or solids, they can change their shape? But if you see, the sponge is having lot of air spaces in it. There are a lot of air spaces in the sponge, and due to which, children, you can see the air spaces, and because of these lot many air spaces, hundreds and millions of air spaces, the sponge, it can be compressed. That's the reason. One more example I have of a rubber band. We say that solids cannot change the shape, but if you see a rubber band, I can stretch a rubber band. So what does it mean then? Solids can change shape? Yes, this is a special case. Rubber band has the property of elasticity, and that is why we can stretch it, but that too we cannot stretch it much, otherwise it will break. So because of the elastic property, rubber band can change its shape. Because of its porosity, sponge can also change its space. Because of the small size of the sugar particles, they took the shape of the container. But otherwise, as a whole, any particle of sugar if we take, then the particles of sugar cannot change their shape on their own. So we can say that solids have a fixed shape. Liquids do not have a fixed shape, they take the shape of the container. If we speak about volume, then volume of a solid is fixed. Volume of a liquid is also fixed. In this video, students, we'll see the compressibility. We'll compare the compressibility of solids, liquids and gases. For this purpose, I have taken a syringe. You can see there is a syringe and it is resting on the base, which is an eraser. So I have fixed that syringe on an eraser so that it has a stand to stand, and the base, that is this point gets packed. You can see it is open, so otherwise the things will come out. So we have packed the lower end of the syringe, and now I am going to put the piston of this syringe inside. Now children, in this syringe there is nothing. There is nothing means what is there inside? There is air, right? So this air is there, and with the help of the piston I will try to push the air inside. So yes, I am able to press the piston down. It means that the air inside is getting compressed. Now further I am not able to move this piston, though I am putting a lot of pressure on it. It means that to a certain extent I can compress it. Now if I release the pressure, see what is happening. The piston automatically is moving up. So this is what we did for gases. So we can say that gases are highly compressible. We were able to push the air inside by applying pressure. till here we can compress the air. If we release the pressure, again it is expanding. Right? So we can say that gases are highly compressible. So now as you can see, there is water inside the syringe, and I have applied the piston over it, and I am trying to push it down hard, but I can't move the piston down. It means that liquids are also non-compressible. It is given in your book that liquids are negligibly compressible. Means you can compress a liquid to some extent, but actually by practical we can see that we cannot compress a liquid even to a small extent. Now let us check for solid substance. Now this is a piece of chalk. I have put it into the syringe, and then with the piston I am trying to push it down. So I am trying to push it hard, but the chalk is not getting compressed. So we can say that solids are also incompressible. Just now we saw that gases are highly compressible. The piston was easily going inside, sliding down. Then we saw for liquids, the liquids are not compressible. Same way we saw the same activity for a piece of chalk inside the syringe. So chalk also can't be compressed. So we can say that solids are also incompressible. So by this activity we study the comparison of compressibility of solid, liquid and gas. Thank you, children.